what we're going to do now is have an exec Q&A session. And so any questions you might have for me, we'll wrap up into that, and then we'll move on to morning tea from there. Is that right, John? Right, cool. So, between John and myself and Henry, who you heard from before, do you have any particular questions, in terms of where we're taking the business, how we're taking the business, the support for it? It's fine if you don't, but no. Yes?
Thank you. Excellent wrap-up of what where Jade is heading towards. Just wondering that when we are thinking about the whole kind of convolution of things like when you're thinking about the digital future, are you thinking an integrated visualization platform? Because the machine learning, the AI, the managers at that user end would be much interested in the dashboard side of things, etc.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that's where when it comes to looking at problems, it's important to understand the whole spectrum of what the problem is. Excuse me. And more often than not, it is about it's not just having streams and streams of data. It's about how to visualise that in a way that really makes sense. And so when you hear Shane Goodwin talk later on, that's part of the expertise that he and his team bring to the conversations that we have. So they help us understand, help us being our customers and us understand what is the problem that is most important, and how do we make that visual or make that accessible to the key people in the organisation who need to see it or understand it, or in fact to make it visible and accessible to your customers or consumers in some way, because that's often actually where you want that visualisation to be. So yeah, absolutely, visualisation is really key. Yeah.
Hi. So my question is actually for Henry. You mentioned earlier open banking in the UK, which is a compliance thing. In New Zealand, we've got Payments New Zealand with, apparently they've got 6 initiatives, one of which is open banking, and they've been looking at the European, the UK, US, so on, Australia. Once that happens, and it's just a matter of time, is there any sort of suggestions you've got around having a core sort of legacy system in Jade, and then opening that up for compliance for things like open banking? Any sort of insights from your?
Yeah, and I think open banking is pretty much a year old, probably about 4 or 5 weeks ago. I think if you said, has it revolutionised the UK and banking, you'd go absolutely not. Partly because, as you articulate, it's been very much treated at the moment as a kind of compliance initiative. They have to produce some, the big 9, as they're known, the CMA 9, have to produce some information, and it's a bit like that at the moment, rather than kind of revolutionising the user experience and the market. That's not to say that people are starting to do that. So, I have my banking app in my pocket. I could get my banking data from NatWest Bank with, I could get my savings data from X, Y, Z, and everything like that. So you are starting to see single views, if you see what I mean, of all your customer data, whoever's database it is held within. Trust is the word that is most often used, so the capabilities are all there to do that. User take-up is probably painfully slow, and mostly it's kind of what is really in it for the consumer at that point. What is that kind of service USP, service proposition to it? And the answer is nothing really. It's not that, it's not being intelligent in any way, it's not moving your money around in any way or anything like that. So we do think it will take off. Probably with quite a lot of these things, it's usually a slower adoption, but then moves pretty quickly once it starts to get adoption. But we don't see that in the near future at the moment. That's mostly on the customer experience side. On the mortgage side, where we do see it happening much more, and it kind of gets badged at open banking, but it's not really open banking in terms of legislation, but it's just APIs enabling you to do these things. So in the UK, we'll have valuations, we'll have what we call conveyancers, which are solicitors. I don't know the terminology over here, and that is the most painful process in the world at the moment. So we'll do an application to offer in the UK of about 10, 11 days. We want to get that to 15 minutes. So we need to then connect with valuation methodology systems and stuff through the portals. We then need to connect to solicitors, effectively into the deeds and the UK land registry and things like that. So we see that happening. You see it happening quite slowly at times. Most of those are in beta pilot projects probably at the moment with 1 or 2, but it will happen. And then, I can't remember what I was going to say, the third thing we are seeing, which I'm going to forget what I was just trying to say. I can't think what I was going to say. So so it's happened. You say, as I say, most people are compliant with it. Value add there from a consumer point of view is pretty much zero, but it is building effectively capability and the ability to do it. Although we probably see it really taking off, perhaps 1.5, 2 years time or something like that. Is that okay? Is that
Any other questions? John has a question.
Thanks, Ashley. We're about to have morning tea, and we can hear it being prepared, but I've just realised that we didn't do our normal question and prize session after Henry's thought, so we'll catch that up now. And so, for those of you that have been here before, will remember that the drill is that I kind of ask you a question related to Henry's talk, and because you were all paying attention, most of you will know the answer. The first one to get their hand up and I pick and has the correct answer will win one of our amazing Connect-themed prizes. And the prizes will progress through the day, and at the end of the day there's a special prize, which John won last year. Now the first question I'm going to go with from Henry's presentation, so I'm afraid I'm going to exclude the NWI guys from answering, just because. Right, so from Henry's presentation, in that he mentioned a certain number of transactions per day that the core system handles. Callum? Over 1 million. Great. And we've got enough prizes that we can afford to do one more. So from Henry's presentation again, he mentioned on there, actually who wants a harder question? Oh. Okay. So Henry talked about a certain number of online users they have. I haven't asked the question yet. Henry talked about a certain number of online users that they have, but the number on the slide was different. What was the number on the slide? 290k. Huh? 290. Yep.
We probably put a few more on yesterday.
And now I'll just do one more, and this one's actually from Charlotte. And I'm going to exclude all of the Jade team from answering this question. In Charlotte's bio, she mentioned a particular vehicle that she's very...